In this video, we will be discussing SED 391, your course on current laws and initiatives. In this course, we will be discussing the latest special education initiatives and most up-to-date laws. We will also be learning about and writing a high-quality and compliant individualized education program, or IEP, while also learning the importance of and ways to be a teacher leader and an advocate for individuals with disabilities. There will be many discussions on different types of advocacy in different types of settings, and that will be something that we discuss towards the end of the semester, culminating with a module activity. We will get into module activities a little bit later in this video. First, let's talk about how your grade is compiled in SED 391. So the grade that's earned in this course is a compilation of your professional disposition as evidenced by your participation and collaboration during our instructional modules, and a comprehensive completion of learning activities during the instructional modules, a professional completion of reflective teaching assignments, and attendance. So your grade also includes your evidence of the knowledge, performance, and disposition standards demonstrated on the IEP project, the process, the progress, and the final product. We'll be diving into the IEP project a little bit later in this video. Your grade also reflects your completion of the online modules according to the established expectations. If you do not complete an online module by the due date and time, you will be given a grade of 0, but will still need to complete that online module to evidence your knowledge. Disposition paperwork may be discussed after a missed online module or a missed assignment. The process and progress are assessed through the independent, timely, and professional completion of any other documentation assigned by your university supervisor or program coordinator. You need to be evidencing consistent, independent, professional disposition standards. That's expected, and it would impact your final grade, if not evidenced. The development, implementation, and assessment of the IEP project is required to occur concurrently with the development, implementation, and assessment of the EBP or evidence-based practice, EdTPA, weekly reflections, and daily instructional plans. So the IEP will not stand alone. You will be working on that concurrently with other projects within your other courses. Let's take a look at the grading procedures or grading scale for SED 391. 40% of your grade for SED 391 is the IEP project. The IEP project has two different components. The first is the individual component, and that is worth 40 points. In the individual component, you will be given a case study, and you will be individually completing an entire IEP based upon the information given in that case study. The group component is worth 20 points. You will be assigned a group, given a case study, and your group will work to complete eligibility paperwork, and then we'll present that eligibility paperwork as well as the IEP to Crystal and myself in a mock IEP meeting. The total points for the IEP project are 60 points, and as stated earlier, that is 40% of your grade. 30% of your grade for SED 391 are the completion of online modules. There are 5 online modules that are accompanied by quizzes. Those 5 online modules are 10 points apiece. There will be one online module that is on advocacy, and that will be something that we discuss across the semester, and then we'll have a culminating activity at the end of the semester comparing and contrasting and discussing all of the different types of advocacy that we have seen across settings over the semester. All of these online modules total 60 points, and as stated earlier, are 30% of your grade. The last 30% of your grade are module learning activities. This is where you evidence that active participation and professionalism. These module activities can be completed in class or out of class. There are some that we will assign that you will complete before you leave for the day, and there are others that you will complete outside of class and will bring at some point or submit online to ReggieNet. These are worth a total of 75 points. In regards to the requirements for evidencing disposition standards, you will be completing an individual professional development plan. You need a satisfactory rating on each of your 3 student teaching goals to be able to advance to student teaching. There will be several article reflections that will be assigned throughout the semester, and that's on a credit or no credit basis. So credit on each of the article reflections must be earned to advance to student teaching. The last piece of evidencing your disposition standards is attendance and tardiness. Unexcused absences and or tardiness at module or your clinical site will adversely impact the disposition evaluation and accordingly lower the final grade for this total course. One important thing to note is that the average of the 3 percentages and satisfactory completion of required assignments will determine the final course grade according to the department grading scale. A minimum grade of C must be earned for consideration of advancement to student teaching. Letter grades are assigned on the following scale. 93 to 100 is an A, 84 to 92 is a B, 74 to 83 is a C, 63 to 73 is a D, and anything 62 and below is considered an F. Now let's discuss the essential application for SED 391, which is the Individual Education Plan, the IEP. The purpose of this application is for teacher candidates to demonstrate the ability to work on a team to develop an individualized education program for a student provided by a case study. You will develop pieces of the IEP in draft format that could be done before an IEP meeting, work together to complete pieces of an IEP that would be done collaboratively at a meeting during module, and be able to present your ideas. You will broaden your knowledge and skills in developing all components of the IEP. Central to the education of students with disabilities is development and implementation of the IEP. The IEP lays out the school's commitment to providing special education and related services to eligible students. Each eligible student must have an IEP in effect before he or she can receive special education and related services. For the IEP application, you will be assigned a case study to read in order to complete the IEP pages for the individual assignment. That section of the project is worth 40 points and should be completed without assistance from classmates. The same case study assigned for the individual practice will be used for the group activity. This section of the IEP application is worth 20 points. You'll work together as a group to complete state forms as accurately as possible. To complete the IEP project, you will be utilizing the Illinois State Board of Education IEP forms accessed from ReggieNet in SED 391 or SED 252. For the individual portion of the IEP project, which is worth 40 points, the following pages will be completed. They are located on ReggieNet as the individual IEP pages. These pages will be submitted via ReggieNet. You will be submitting the Individualized Education Program Conference Summary Report, 2 SMART goals and objectives with 2 benchmarks each, the Educational Accommodations and Supports page, the Assessment page, State Assessment of Language Proficiency page, and the Educational Services and Placement page. For the development of the IEP with the group, which is worth 20 points, that is located on ReggieNet as group pages for the IEP project. You will be submitting with your group the Documentation of Evaluation Results page, the Eligibility Determination page 3, and the present levels of academic achievement and functional performance, or the PLAF page. These pages will be submitted on ReggieNet at module on the date indicated in the module schedule. Final products will be graded for professional writing, full group participation, professional language, and presentation. So final submission of all the artifacts will be totaled. The individual score and group score are totaled and the grade is calculated. 20 plus 40 equals 60 points. And again, this project is 40% of SED 390. There will be group evaluations for the mock IEP meetings that we will be holding. The amount of points deducted will be at the coordinator's discretion. This is the rubric for the IEP project for SED 391. A paper copy of this will need to be submitted to the coordinator that is grading the IEP project. Let's move on to discussing the online modules. These can be found on ReggieNet in SED 391 on the left-hand side. As you can see, all 6 online modules are listed on the left-hand side. The first lesson is Laws and Current Initiatives. When you click on Laws and Current Initiatives, you will see that there is an online module with lots of learning information that is listed. There are some instructional materials that are mandatory and other instructional materials that are optional. The mandatory instructional materials you must access and look over before you can have access to the assessment of learning, which is the quiz. Once you have accessed and completed the mandatory instructional materials, you will be able to access the assessment of learning. Each online module will open at midnight on Saturday morning and will close at 10 p.m. on Friday night. And all the due dates are listed on your due date sheet. Advocacy is the only online module that is not accompanied by a quiz. As stated earlier in this video, this will be covered with a culminating activity at the end of the semester that will cover all of the different ways that we saw advocacy across all of the different sites across the semester. As stated earlier, if an online quiz is missed, a grade of 0 will be given, but the quiz will still be required to be taken to evidence your knowledge of the quiz material. As you can see, we are now in the Assignments tab for SED 391. Listed here are the IEP individual component, the IEP group component, and your first module activity, Unpacking Your Cultural Knapsack. This is where you will go ahead and submit your assignments. The first assignment that you will submit will be Unpacking Your Cultural Knapsack, and that will be a module activity. There will be other module activities throughout the semester that will be uploaded onto the Assignments tab, where you will upload these once they are assigned. You will be uploading your individual component individually, and you'll be uploading your IEP group component with one person uploading for the group. As stated earlier, some of your module activities will be completed in module, and some will be completed outside of module. Some will be completed by uploading to the Assignments tab on ReggieNet, and some will be completed by pen and paper and will be handed in either at module that day or at the next module. This has been an overview of SED 391. I hope that you found this to be helpful. If you have any questions, please drop it in the tab below. Thank you.